Today I want to discuss how to name and measure an angle in geometry. Naming an angle can be kind of complicated because there's so many different ways to do it, but I'm going to show you guys the way I expect you to do it and the way I need you to do it. But first things first, what exactly is an angle? In this class, an angle is a shape that's formed by two different rays. If you remember from the other day, a ray is a portion of a line that has a beginning point but no end. It goes on forever in one direction. So I'm going to start this one at B and shoot off through point C. So that would be ray BC, if you remember from the other day. But what makes this thing an angle instead of just a ray is that there is a second ray that comes off from the same vertex. Two rays, same vertex or same endpoint. The vocabulary you need to get out of this is that these rays are called the sides, and this point back here where they come together is called the vertex. You'll hear those words a lot. So how we're going to actually name this. If you remember from the other day, we had all of these different notations for a line, this notation, or if it were a segment, we just had a bar across the top of it. And for a ray, which we've already done, you had the little arrow across the top. So for an angle, it's similar. Think about what you're actually naming here. It is an angle, so that's going to be our notation that we use when we name an angle. I'm going to have a little angle out front, kind of looks like a little slanted L. There's a bunch of different ways to name these. I'm kind of fond of all of them depending on what you're actually doing, but the easiest way is probably to name it using the actual vertex, the point where it all comes together. Sometimes that works great, sometimes it's not the best. If I were to have, say, another ray come off of here, and I were to just name it angle B, well, which one am I talking about? Because there's three different angles there. So again, depending on the actual situation, it decides which one's better for you to use. The one that works 100% of the time is all three letters on the angle. I can name this angle ABC. You generally go in order, A, B, C, the way you would walk around the figure from one point to the next to the next. With that being said, you can also reverse those letters and get another possible name. Okay? Like I said, that one works all the time. And then again, depending on the picture that you're given or what you're asked to do, sometimes there will be a number sitting inside the figure that might be okay to use as a name too. And I could call this angle 1. And you'll see all of these throughout the course. Some of them are better than others. The 3 points is probably the best one to use, but there will be occasions where you see the other ones. I just want you to be aware of those. So measuring these things is going to be a little tricky. What you need to get out of this is that the more open your angle is, the bigger its measurement is. So this angle over here is going to have a smaller measure than this angle over here, smaller measurement than this angle down here. But what we're going to do is try our best to measure these with this protractor. Normally I would have a handful of protractors I would hand out to you guys and have you measure your angles. So we're just going to kind of have to do our best guess estimate on these. The way a protractor works is it measures, if you're not familiar with them, it measures how far apart the angle sides are. It has nothing to do with how long they are. I can extend these things out as much as I want, but the actual measurement of the angle depends on how far out or how far apart these sides are from one another. So this side AC and this side AB, they're so far apart. The way this protractor works, if you notice, there's two sets of numbers on here. I've got 40 or 140 depending on whether you're reading the lower numbers or the outer numbers, and that has to do with whether the angle's open to the right or open to the left. A little bit of common sense though, guys. This angle is open, in the way I'm reading it, 40 degrees. 140 degrees will be a much bigger angle if it were open, say, from the left, right? It would use the same set of numbers, but depending on how you have to use the protractor and read it, it's going to determine which one of your numbers you're going to use. But pay attention. The bigger angles are going to use the bigger numbers. Let's slide this over here and take a look at this angle. This one appears to be, again, I'm going to use the lower numbers here. I would say that that's 115 degrees. And then the one at the bottom, I threw this one in here just to show you how the numbers on this thing work. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. On the left here, I've got 0 and 180, and on the right, I've got 180 and 0. It's basically a 180 degree angle no matter how you look at it. A lot of people call that a straight angle. It's just a line. There's nothing fancy about it.